Good news. Representative Steve King is almost broke. It appears that the Iowa Republican is having a bit of a hard time this election cycle, especially since his reelection campaign is underway. Yahoo News reports that Steve King has lost all support from his major donors and even his own colleagues in the Senate. So now, apparently, King has not received a single contribution this year from any political action committee associated with a sitting member of Congress. Not only that, but he has also lost all of his corporate donations. In fact, according to this article, corporate PACs and interest groups have completely shunned him. Through the first 6 months of the year, King received just two contributions from third party political entities. Now, you're going to love this, right? This $2,000 in donations from PACs associated with two former members of Congress. Now, it's former Republican Representative Lamar Smith from Texas and Todd Akin. Now, if you didn't know, Todd Akin, he's a legitimate rape guy. Oh, so that makes sense. So Todd Akin's PAC says, oh, you're having a problem and you say crazy things about rape? And one of the crazy things that he said about that actually is, oh, if you go through your family trees, I mean, who, would you be here if there weren't so much rape? Wow. And so him and he's getting money, shockingly, from legitimate rape guy. I mean, if it's a legitimate rape, the body has a way of shutting that whole thing down, right? No, it doesn't. So now, what's funny is, now, I actually love it when candidates don't take corporate money, right? So I'm in favor of candidates that don't take special interest in corporate money. So I should actually be pretty happy about this, right? Well, again, I don't like Steve King, for one, and I'm completely honest about that. But what's funny about this, and sort of ironic, is that it's not that he's declining to take corporate money. Oh, no, he'd love to take this corporate money. Thing is that he's become so toxic that these corporations and special interests are like, Steve King, nah, dude, nope. And so it is kind of hilarious and ironic. Now, again, Steve King is one of those people that if corporations offer him money, he's like, yes. And for a long time, he had corporations and special interest groups that are more than willing to shovel money into his campaigns, no matter how racist he was. But because it's so open, it's so transparent now, and people are actually paying attention, well, now these, companies and PACs are like, no, can't do it. So now, again, the other good thing about this is that this could be our opening to take him down. Again, taking down one of the most racist white nationalist congressmen in Congress, in government. That'd be great. So right now, it's been explained that he has a, quote, catastrophic lack of resources. His campaign has a total of about $18,365. That is his campaign war chest. At least that was reported back in June. That is the least cash on hand he's ever reported after the first 6 months of the cycle. Now, another thing is he's got a primary opponent on the right, and he's got a progressive running at him from the left. So the progressive is J.D. Scholten, right? Now, J.D. Scholten is notable because he ran against Steve King last year in the deeply conservative part of Iowa and lost by just 3 points. Now J.D. Scholten, he's back. He doesn't take corporate money, and he's unabashedly, unapologetically progressive. So now he's got J.D. Scholten to take on. That's if he even makes it to the general election. Again, I mentioned he has a primary opponent, and that's State Senator Randy Feenstra. Now, Feenstra already has endorsements from influential right-wing Iowans, such as evangelical leader Bob Vander Plaats. At the end of July, Feenstra's campaign committee reported to having $337,314.30 cash on hand, compared to Steve King's roughly 18 grand. So if you're wondering where all the corporations went to, they went to Randy Feenstra. And by the way, um, let me give you the donors here. Donors to Feenstra that were King donors. So let me go to that. According to an analysis of Federal Election Commission records, King's top donors used to be the American Bankers Association, the National Association of Home Builders, AT&T, Crystal Sugars, and the Rain and Hail Insurance Society. All of them donated to King during the 2018 election cycle, but have actually declined to do so in this cycle. The ones that are funding his challenger are at least 6 industry PACs that have donated to King in the past, including those affiliated with shipping giant UPS and trade associations representing construction and agricultural firms. They have instead put their money in Feenstra. So now me, I'm in favor of JD Schulten. Like I said, takes no corporate back money, is actually progressive. But that's just that's where I stand on this, right? But Schulten or not, Iowa, is this who you want to represent you? Steve King? I mean, somebody who says terrible racist things, like we can't repopulate our civilization with somebody else's babies. And not just to mention the ridiculous thing he's said about rape. No, he has a long history, and I've documented a lot of the racist, terrible things that he said on the show. And you can go back and you can watch those videos. And I encourage you to do so in case you want to know what Steve King is all about. But that's who he is. That's who he is. So now, again, it even gets worse for Steve King because, like I said, he's been abandoned not just by the donors, but by the Republican Party. Yahoo reports that contributions for Republican Party organs have also evaporated completely. He will have no financial assistance from the Republican Party whatsoever. And you have ghouls like Liz Cheney that even calls on him to resign. Liz freaking Cheney. Yikes. And the reason is, of course, because he says the quiet parts loud. And let's not make any mistake, right? Again, this is who Republican voters are. This is who Republican politicians are, right? The thing about King is that, again, he's been doing this for a very long time, been saying the same. This isn't a new evolution in Steve King. No, he's been saying the same thing for decades, but he got away with it all the time. Now we're actually putting this in the spotlight thanks to Donald Trump, and then thanks to his over the top racism and white nationalism. Now people are paying attention, and the Republican Party is desperately trying to shove it back in the ground because if they don't, they're going to continue to lose elections. And understand, right? Again, it's not because of the Republican Party is suddenly aghast at this, and outraged that one of their members might be somewhat racist. No. They relied on the Southern strategy of appealing to white racist voters in the South. Now, those were originally the Dixiecrats. They were members of the Democratic Party. But during the Civil Rights era, when Democrats started coming around to I should say, the Democratic Party being more racially inclusive and fighting for civil rights for African Americans, here you had the white Dixiecrats in the South that were like, no, we like our politicians racist. And so the Republicans said, okay, why don't you come join us? Because we're still racist. So, look, help us win elections and we'll be as racist as you want. And that was the deal. And it's been happening to this day. In fact, that was something that 2 former RNC chairs apologized for because they know their demographic is shrinking. America is becoming more tolerant and much more diverse. But make no mistake, Republicans have been successful electorally because of racism. Donald Trump, another great example. Donald Trump ran on building a wall between us and Mexico, calling Mexicans rapists and criminals. Not only that, but the hundreds of things that he said since then. And what happens? Well, some of the recent polls, have Donald Trump's favorability among Republicans around 78%. Before that, 90%. 90% of Republicans throughout most of his presidency have positive, favorable views of Donald Trump. They agree with him. They eat it up, and they vote religiously. And that's not an accident saying religiously, too, because a lot of them do vote on basis of religion, like the evangelicals, who again support Trump at even higher rates than 90%. So, and look, Republican representatives that are already in power, they do manage to gerrymander and engage in voter suppression to make sure that they can continue to get a very shrinking minority of people to keep them in power. So let's not pretend that Steve King is some sort of weird aberration. Like, oh my God, this is so new. No, he was Donald Trump before Donald Trump. He reflects his voters and he reflects his party. His only crime, to them at least, is just being too transparent about it, being too open and getting caught. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.